Hope you guys got some snacks.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome. Great to have all of you joining us today. We're going to hang out for just a minute to make sure that everyone can join and get settled in. We have some amazing guests today, so be sure to grab a drink and a snack so you don't miss a thing. While we wait for folks to filter in, I thought we could use this time to visit about XYPN Live. It is the best conference for fee-only financial advisors. Of course, I'm biased because it's hosted by XYPN. It's going to be this year in Minneapolis, Minnesota, October 15th through 17th. Nick and Nate of N2 Content Marketing are going to be there. Guys, what are you doing there?
Yeah, so we get to do a pre-con. We are going to spend pretty much the entire day right before the conference teaching people exactly how to produce short form video as a financial advisor, and we get to do it all in person. And so we're going to show up with our little recording studio, show people exactly what equipment they need, exactly how to set it up so that you get even lighting, that sort of thing. It's going to be a blast. Our hope is that by the end of it, all of the attendees will actually have recorded their first video in some way, just gotten over that hump of, okay, what does it look like to be on camera? How does this feel, so that they can go in and really get started.
That sounds amazing. Everyone, you're not going to want to miss that. This truly is, if you're thinking, am I the right person for this? If you're a financial advisor, you're going to want to be there. We're going to have so much content for if you're launching a firm, if you're scaling a firm, if you're anywhere in between, we want to see you there. We do have a special offer. So today through Friday at 11:59 p.m., we're going to be offering $100 off a non-member pass. So you will use code SAVE100. We're going to put that in the chat. And then also, of course, join N2 for their pre-con. So I hope to see everyone there. All right, well, we are just past the hour, so I'm officially going to get us started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amy Arno, and I am the Director of Business Development at XYPN. Today, I am thrilled to host this event, How to Get Your First Client from Social Media as a Financial Advisor, with Nate Hoskin and Nick Meyer of N2 Content Marketing. I have just a few housekeeping items to go over. We will start with a few pre-submitted questions that we got that they're going to go through in their slides. If you do have stuff that comes up as they're talking that you want us to answer towards the end, please use the Q&A module there at the bottom of Zoom. That's just going to help them track questions so we don't lose anything in the chat. That chat's probably going to fill up with some resources, so use the Q&A for us, please. We will have time for all those questions at the end. We made sure to allocate for that, so don't worry, we will get to you. Also, when the webinar is over, you're going to see a survey pop up from Zoom. We would love, love, love to hear how we did, even if you have some constructive feedback. Also, please share any topics that you would like to hear about in the future from XYPN. We do host a free webinar every month. So next month, be sure to join us on September 11th for Understanding 403(b) Plans, how to support educator clients in navigating retirement plan options. This webinar is actually also eligible for 1 hour of CFP CE credit, so don't miss that. This is actually our month of sales and marketing webinars. So we got a couple more for you to check out this month. You'll go to our virtual events page to register. We have the Attract Ideal Clients and Clone Them Like Magic with Robin Crane. That's going to be on Tuesday, August 20th. And then Ditch the Pitch, Mastering Genuine Conversations to Hit Sales Goals with Nancy Bleaky Noel. And that is on August 27th. So love to see you for those as well. Okay, done with the logistics. Let's get to the reason that you all are here. I'm going to turn it over to Nate and Nick to introduce themselves and get you all the good stuff. Here you go, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy, for having us. I will pull up our presentation really quickly so that you guys can see everything. And within that, it loads. There we go. We've got it. Okay, perfect.
All good.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Nate Hoskin. I'm a certified financial planner. I also have my own RIA practice, so I am an active member of XYPN, and we're very, very excited to be here. We have done something similar with the current members of XYPN. Now we get to just spread this far and wide and teach you guys how to create short form video. That's how I got my start. I started my firm in COVID. I had no way of getting clients. I couldn't do networking events. I couldn't go have coffee chats. But this little app called TikTok was suddenly coming on the scene. And so I decided that I was going to start making short form video. I am now sitting at about 260,000 followers across all platforms. I consistently am booking meetings and building my business with short form video. And I would say about 95% of my 162 clients have come from short form video. So that's me. I'm here today with my co-founder, Nick Meyer.
Yes, I am Nick. And as you can see in my little intro square there, I am the most followed CFP professional on social media, which is still absolutely like, it feels crazy for me to say that. But I have about 1.8 million followers across the 4 major social media platforms. And basically 100% of them have come from short form video, which I started back in 2020, locked inside during COVID, didn't know what to do with my time. I spent 4 years as a financial advisor at that point. Unfortunately, my boss didn't really want me to do it marketing wise for the firm. So instead, I just decided to post educational videos in my free time, which soon caught a lot of steam. And I became a full time content creator about a year later. And instead of using social media to get clients for my own firm, I've kind of went like the standard influencer route, if you want to call it that, where I've worked with like 100+ financial brands like Fidelity, TurboTax, Ally, Discover, etc., and help them run their own social media campaigns. So Nate and I came together once we found out we both lived in Denver after I recently moved over here a couple years ago. And we discovered that, like, hey, we are literally the most qualified people in the entire world to teach our specific niche, which is financial advisors, how to grow their business with short form video content, because I'm the master of getting attention. Just alone, I have over 350 million total views on my short form video content. But Nate is the master at converting these views into actual paying clients for a financial advisory practice.
So the big question is, why should you guys care? Especially the number one thing we get is, I serve clients who are over the age of 55. They're not on social media, they're not watching, but is that most of the United States is watching, with 244 million viewers watching an average of 17 hours of short form video per week. This is something that has transcended generations and has become the foremost way that everyone is consuming content of any sort, whether it is educational content, entertainment content, or learning more about businesses. And really, that's what we have learned in this process, is that consumers prefer to watch short form video to learn about a product. Marketers are saying that it is driving more sales, and it is convincing people to buy a product or service. And within that, because video is a very wide net, you can make long form content like long video podcasts. You could do tiny little clips with just B-roll, but really the most effective video length for achieving all of these statistics is 30 to 60 seconds. That to us is the definition of short form video. I would extend it a little bit and say maybe it's between 30 and 90 seconds, but the idea is that it can fit on every social media platform. And it is also very digestible for the people that you are trying to reach, whether that is future clients on social media or it's your existing clients. I send short form videos to my clients all the time, and it is a great way that they feel like I am paying attention to them and reaching out to them without having to schedule a 1-hour meeting. So this is new. This is kind of breaking news. This is a little bit old at this point, but it still might not be available for you. And so I'm wondering if you guys have guesses on which platform this is that Nick posted on. Because this is a sign of what I was talking about earlier, that short form video is just taking everything over. And that includes the platform that I would guess every single person here uses, which is LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn has now rolled out a complete video module, and it is still in beta testing. So some of you guys might see this a few different ways. For me, I see it in a little icon down in the bottom menu. It actually says video. So I can click on that and I can scroll short form video on LinkedIn, just like I would with Instagram Reels or TikTok. So if LinkedIn is doing it, it is just another sign that this is where all of content creation and all of marketing is going. But let's get back to the most important question that we always get at the beginning of these. Is my client or is my future client on social media? And the answer is yes. These statistics speak for themselves, but I think that there's a bigger challenge that I'd like to give you guys. And that challenge is, next time you're waiting in line somewhere, whether you're at the pharmacy or you're at the DMV or you're waiting in line for a register at a grocery store, just look around at how people are killing time. I'm willing to bet that they are killing time by watching short form video. And for me, I had this realization at the DMV because you had the 60-year-olds who were getting their licenses renewed, who were scrolling YouTube shorts. You had the mom, she was scrolling Facebook. And then you had the kid who was scrolling TikTok. But they were all consuming short form video of some sort. They just had different ways of doing that. So the answer is yes. Most people are watching short form video, and your future client certainly is. So the other big piece is financial advisory is a very, very trust-based offer. You need to have so much trust in the person if you are going to allow them to steward your stored energy, right? Your money, your value, the things that you have worked so hard to achieve, you need to trust that person. So the question is, do people buy trust-based offers on social media? Is this a place where they build trust with a professional rather than just buying random things off of Temu or off of Amazon, right? And the answer is, well, they buy private jets off of TikTok. So I feel like that fits us pretty nicely into the niche of people who are able to succeed on this platform. Because yes, there are private jet brokers, there are lawyers and law firms, there are real estate agencies, there are even government agencies. And for any of you guys who do not follow the National Park Service, please do. They are so funny. Whoever is running their social media, like maybe it's someone Gen Z, but they are crushing because all of these people, all of these hyper successful trust-based companies see the value of producing short form content and do it very, very effectively. The other piece is that we're not just building trust because we're in front of someone. We're actually breaking down instinctual bias because we as humans associate trust with distance. The people who are close to us, the people who are allowed to give us a hug, those sorts of things, they form our trusted circle. And then you have your advisor who is usually about at arm's length, if not further. But with short form video and with the ability to build trust at scale, you actually put yourself in the palm of your future client's hand. And so if someone is within your trusted circle, biologically, instinctually, and they are providing you with educational value, you naturally trust them and you have the ability to size them up. Because we as humans, we look at body language, right? We look at all the different ways that someone is interacting with us, not just what we're saying or how we speak. And when humans can't make those assessments, we get really cautious. That's why people are much less likely to respond to emails, why people struggle with cold calls, because we don't have the ability to fully size up the person on the other side of the transaction. Video allows us to do that, and it checks every single one of those instinctual boxes that allow us to build trust. So then here's the thing. I've talked about this at a very high level. Obviously, Nick and I are capable of getting people to watch our videos. That's really how we have become successful at this. But what does it turn into for a financial advisor? Because at the end of the day, the goal of putting money or effort behind marketing is to build your business and to have new people join your firm. So this is a little snapshot from January 1st to June 24th of this year. The reason it's June 24th is because I put my company on a wait list at that time. And I was like, I am no longer taking calls. No one can access my calendar. So those data points would be a little bit different as a result. Within that period of time, I produced 81 videos. Sounds like a lot, right? But remember that these are 60 seconds. These take 4 minutes each when you sit down and actually press record, with a little bit on either side for scripting and editing. So the amount of time I contributed to this was not overbearing by any means. I had about 2,400 people click on my links page, which we'll talk about in this webinar, exactly how to build that and what you should have on your links page. And of those people, 166 of them actually clicked get in touch with me. They clicked to schedule a call. Of course, some people fall off. So 127 people actually scheduled those meetings. There are always cancellations. There are always reschedules. So within this bottom row, you are just seeing a snapshot of my Calendly. And we're looking at completed events because that means that I actually held a meeting with that person. They didn't cancel. They didn't fall off. They didn't reschedule. And that averages out to a little bit more than 4 meetings per week coming in from social media. Of that, my close rate used to be significantly higher. I was sitting around 90%, mostly because I was building my business and I was just taking anyone and everyone. I was working out custom pricing options. I lowered that very quickly to 50 to 40% when I started doing more disqualification. And now I would say when I take a call, there's about a 50% chance that that person will actually become a client. That other 50% is made up of whether or not I am a fit for them, but also if they're a fit for me. And I've been much more specific and much more picky about who I allow to join my firm. So that is the full rundown of why I think you guys should care, why I think that short form video and really just the ability to produce video in general is an absolute superpower for financial advisors. So now let's break down exactly how you do this. And through this entire webinar, we're going to show you exactly how to produce short form video, starting with where should it go? Nick, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh man, Nate got me fired up. I want to start making more videos now. Hopefully everyone in the audience is fired up to make short form video content now too. But before you start, yeah, you have to understand which platforms you're dealing with. So these are the 4 main ones. As we mentioned earlier on, LinkedIn is also becoming one of these really rapidly as well. If you follow either Nate or I on LinkedIn, we post a lot of video content on there too. But for the 4 main social platforms where you're going to find like your ideal clients, because they're probably not on LinkedIn, let's go over the individual quirks that each of them have. So they're very similar in many ways, but there are very significant differences that you have to be aware of. So first up is video length. As we mentioned, the average short form video is probably like 60 seconds or less. That's what we like to keep it to, mainly because if we want to post one single video across every single one of these platforms, it has to be 60 seconds or less to hit YouTube's video length threshold of 60 seconds, which is the shortest of any other platform. As you can see, Facebook, Instagram, they both allow you to upload short form videos up to 90 seconds long. TikTok, you can basically record a full movie and record it as a short form video, and they're still going to classify the same as every other piece of content they put up there. So when you're making content, we like to post across every single platform because as advisors, you guys should know the benefits of diversification, meeting your clients where they are. So in order to do that, you should probably keep your content to 60 seconds or less. Now let's go through each individual one. So Facebook has something really cool that also LinkedIn has as well, but none of the other platforms do. And then it lets you put clickable links in the comment sections of videos, which is absolutely huge if you want to have a call to action at the end of your video to say like, hey, download my free lead magnet or go to my link to schedule a call, etc. Having that as a clickable link in your comment section makes it so much easier, reduces so much friction, and just it's a lot easier than having someone go to your link in bio and like try to sort through your link list and try to find the exact thing you're talking about. So Facebook is awesome for that. And it's also kind of weird because every other platform, as we'll go through in a minute here, requires you to make like a handle or a tag or something that you go by. Facebook, it's just your name, and there's no like unique element of that. So it's just something to be aware of when you're making a Facebook account. And if you had an old Facebook account, you might have some trouble when you're creating a new business Facebook account because it's Facebook is weird. It's just the thing that we've personally had our most problems signing up for, and the class we've worked with as well. But Instagram, it's also owned by Facebook, but thankfully it's a lot easier to use. But it is also the hardest to get initial traction on. That's what we've seen ourselves starting up on Instagram. A lot of the advisors we work with, they've had the most trouble getting started with Instagram, though this is changing soon. But just know for now, within the next like couple months, if you start posting video content on Instagram, it's probably not going to get a ton of views. Like it's still going to get a ton of views compared to like if you posted a long form YouTube video or a podcast or something. Like you're probably going to get like 100 plus views and at least a couple videos. But until you build your audience, it's going to be hard to get a consistent amount of views on your content until they do the thing they announced earlier this summer where they're going to change their algorithm to act a lot more like TikTok, where it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. If your content is good and it resonates with the audience it shows it to, it's going to keep showing it to more and more and more people. So it's going to really even the playing field quite a bit. But for now, it's still kind of difficult to get started on. But it is definitely worth it once you do build a following on there, because from our experience, it has by far and away the highest conversion rates. We have no idea why. Maybe it's because people can engage with you a little bit more, like through Instagram stories and polls and different messaging groups and things like that they maybe don't use quite as often on the other platforms, but very valuable platform. YouTube far and away has the best analytics. Like if you want to see exactly where people stop watching your video, like down to the millisecond, YouTube lets you do that. It shows you exactly where people are coming from, both like how they found your content and like which countries, which cities they're actually watching you in. Its analytics are just bar none. They've been around for like well over a decade, probably like 2 decades at this point. So their analytics platform is very well built out and gives you a lot of data, basically all the data you need when you're posting your short form videos. And one thing that I love about it is that it has the longest shelf life for videos. Like I still have videos from 2022 that they consistently get like thousands of views per month, even though they're 2+ years old at this point. And every once in a while, one of these videos that is ranked as a high performer by the YouTube algorithm just pops off for like 100, 200, 300,000 views in a random month in 2024. So like these videos, they have a very long shelf life. That's not something you might normally associate with short form video, because on the other platforms, it's, yeah, your videos are usually dead after a couple months. They usually don't keep getting views, but with YouTube, it's completely different, and your videos stay alive for a very, very long time. Now, TikTok, which is the platform that most people have a lot of opinions about, but we'll stay away from those and just go straight for the nitty gritty on here. On average, we love TikTok because it provides the highest reach in the shortest amount of time. So we use TikTok as a good barometer, like a good measuring stick for how good your content is, because within the first couple of days, you'll have a good idea of whether or not your videos will get views across other platforms. Whereas with every other platform, it may take you like a couple of weeks to really start accruing views. With TikTok, you're going to know within the first couple of days, like, oh, this has a couple thousand views. This video hits, like it's going to keep getting pushed, and it's going to get pushed across the other platforms eventually as well. But another weird thing about TikTok is that it has the shortest like bio length possible, basically across every other platform. It can only let you put 80 characters in your bio, which is about 2 lines of text, and we'll go over the nuances of that a little bit more later on. We're actually going through the best practices for building your bio. Okay, so you know that about the different social media platforms. How exactly do you get started? Well, you're gonna have to buy a couple pieces of recording equipment if you want your content to really have a chance of standing out. Thankfully, if you're looking into like buying podcast equipment, which you saw a pre-show question about, or like long-form YouTube video equipment, this is going to be a lot cheaper than that. But basically, all in, as long as you have a recent model smartphone that you can record video on, your total equipment cost is going to be about like $211. So really not that large of an investment at all. We'll start from top to bottom here. We highly recommend getting what's called the Rode Video Mic Me. It's either the L or the C, depending on what kind of phone you have, but it's this little guy right here, plugs directly into your phone, and it gives you better audio quality than mics that we've heard that cost over $1,000. So audio quality is like the highest reason that people scroll past a video. Something that's scratchy audio, people just aren't going to listen. So making a small investment in a mic that is just completely worth it. And we'll show you exactly how much difference this makes in the next slide here. Now, next up is the tripods. This is just a place to put your phone while you're recording your content, whether that's propping it up on your desk, propping it up like standing wise so you can stand and record your video, just so you don't have to hold your phone in every single video to record it, which is still fine to do. But we find that most people prefer having their phone on a tripod. Just makes things a lot easier, makes your phone a lot steadier. Again, it's only $35, and it's a great investment in your content toolkit just to make recording a lot more of an enjoyable process. And finally, we have these big things here, which you probably have never seen before unless you've like been in a photography studio or you've done some video content before, which are called softbox lights. So underneath those big boxes at the top of those tripods are just like strong lights, basically. I have 2 of those sitting on either side of me right now, which is why my lighting looks like this. It's a great way to give you even lighting, which you'll see in like 2 or 3 slides here. When you think you have bad like video quality, like if you think your camera is bad, it's 9 times out of 10 is not your camera. It's actually just your lighting. Lighting plays an absolutely ridiculous difference. It makes a ridiculous difference when you are recording your content. So let's see. Hopefully this works. Nate, do you want to try hitting the play button on that audio sign? It depends on which webinar provider we're using, whether or not we can actually hear this, but we did do a comparison between the different types of audio people generally use in their videos.
Let's try it, and I will see if I have to reshare.
Nope. All right. That's fine. Yeah, I can just talk through it. Basically, what you want to get out of this is that iPhone, and especially recording with your AirPods, is absolutely terrible. I may have AirPods in right now, but I'm using an external microphone right here. AirPods, it sounds like you are speaking through like a gravel pit. It is absolutely terrible. It is like the worst audio quality imaginable. And then as you continue moving up the list, the mics keep getting better and better. As you can see, we have the overall winner being that Rode Video Mic Me. The one above that is like the $350 boom mic, or the shotgun mic I plug into my professional camera. And the Rode Video Mic Me is actually better audio quality than that. It's like, what is it, like 6 times the price. So yes, 100% worth making that investment inside or into the Rode Video Mic Me. And now next up, lighting. Before we show you how impactful lighting actually is, we'll show you like the do's and do nots of lighting. So when you get those softbox lights, you want to put them about 45 degrees either side of you. There's a lot of ways you can play around with it. Like some people like to have one really strong one kind of like right off to one of their sides and then like a light behind them. don't worry about that, especially when you're starting out. Just have 2 lights, 45 degrees, either side of you, pointing directly at your face to give you that nice, even lighting fill. You want to avoid using natural light, especially if it's anywhere like the camera can see. So if there was a window behind me right now, you guys just wouldn't be able to see me. I would be completely washed out. I would be like a dark shadow compared to the bright light behind me. And that kind of works the same if there's windows off to your sides as well. So shut your blinds or record in a room without much or any natural light at all. And even if you do use natural light, like some people like to record in front of windows. So if you look in the picture right here, like let's say a window with a lot of light was right in front of you while you're recording, like the softbox lights are, that can work, but we don't like it because it means you can only really record at the time of day when the light is the strongest, like looks the best. Like you're usually limited to recording in like an hour window, maybe like when it's not cloudy. And we like to be in control of when we can create content, because that means you can create a consistent amount of content every single week. So we like to avoid, we like to like take lighting into our own hands. And one big mistake a lot of people make is using overhead lighting. So like if you're sitting in an office or something, that light in the ceiling, turn that off when you record. You only want your softbox lights in front of you, maybe a key light like behind you. Like these lights I have behind me is like decoration. Those are fine. Do not have your overhead office light on when you're recording, because you will look like this. In the left-hand side of the screen here, this is what it would look like if I was recording a video, just like as I would be in my normal office. I have my window off to my left-hand side open. The blinds are open. My overhead light is turned on. My softbox lights are turned off. Doesn't look great. If I was looking at this, I'd be like, oh, my camera is terrible. I have to go get a new camera. But in reality, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen here, this picture was taken literally 5 seconds later, when all I really did is turned off my overhead light, I shut my blinds, and I turned on my softbox lights to either side of me, and it gives me that nice, even lighting feel. It makes it look like I'm using a super high-quality camera, and this is just like the iPhone front-facing camera. It's nothing crazy. Makes a huge difference. And if you want people to take you seriously on social media, especially like if you're selling to people with maybe higher net worths, you want to make sure you don't look bad on camera. And lighting is the easiest way to do that. All right, so you got your equipment ordered, and now you need to actually open up your social media accounts and design your profiles, because this is basically like what your web page would be for cold traffic coming in from the internet. Your profile is the first thing that people see after they click on into your profile from watching a video. So you want to make sure that it comes across well and doesn't do anything to kind of push people away, which a lot of financial advisors make some big mistakes for, which we'll cover here. So we'll just go top to bottom. The first 3, we're going to cover the next 2 or the last 2 in the next couple slides, just because they're a little bit more in depth. But we'll start up with your name at the top. This is going to be basically the same thing across all social media platforms except Facebook, where your name is also classified as like your tag, is how your account is classified. So name is just going to be full name, any designations you have. That's really it. It's very self-explanatory. Depending on the platform, it's going to show up in different places. So on Instagram, your name actually pops up like, if you see a reel in the feed, it shows your name instead of your tag. And it's kind of reversed on TikTok, where it shows your tag instead of your name in the videos that post in the feed. So just know that people will see it maybe on your videos, certainly on your profile. So you want to make sure that it's there so people can Google you and find you if they want to. Otherwise, you don't want to push people away, and make sure people know you're a real person. Next up is your profile picture. One big thing with your profile picture that you guys also need to take away from this presentation, remember, don't ever record with AirPods. Next up, other thing you should take away from the presentation: people follow people, they don't follow companies. Do not use your company logo as your profile picture, and also don't include your company name in your tag. That's kind of foreshadowing, but profile picture should just be a headshot of you, ideally using a bright background like Nate and I have here, because most headshots, they kind of have like you don't want to care about the background in most headshots. For social media profile pictures, you want people to kind of be caught, like drawn in by your profile pictures, because it's another thing that can make you stand out when your videos are flying across their feed. Basically, every single larger creator has a headshot like we have here with that bright pop of color behind you. So you can maybe put like one of your brand colors behind you, or another big bright color behind you, to help get people's attention when your videos show up on their feed. And yes, you should have a professional headshot. It is do it. If you haven't made that investment in your business yet, please do not have like a group photo of you at a wedding or something. That just does not look great. Finally, we have your tag down here at the bottom. This is going to be, like, otherwise known as your handle. This is going to be your unique identifier across multiple platforms. So the hard thing about your tag/handle is that this thing should be the same across every single social media platform that has a tag. So again, Facebook is not included in that. LinkedIn isn't included in that. But I am Nick Talks Money, for example, across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So if someone searches Nick Talks Money across any of them, they're going to find me. So when you're researching which tag you should have, make sure you're looking across every single platform and checking the availability on there. And as far as what actually include in them, again, people follow people, they don't follow companies. Don't include your company name in them. Try to include your name if possible. It really helps. If you have a unique name, like we've worked with some clients that just have their first and last name as their tags across every single platform. It's like, oh, cool. Yes, just do that. That is cool. But otherwise, you can see Nate and I both follow the mantra of including our first name and then also making it really clear what our content's about. So mine is Nick Talks Money. If you read that, you know exactly what kind of content I'm going to be making. And Nate's is Net Worth Nate. Again, financial term plus his name. People know what kind of content he's going to be making. And then we have your bio and link in bio down there on the bottom. So there are three main elements we like to include inside of our bios, and especially working with our advisor clients. Line one is going to be your rapport builder. So you're going to tell people why they should trust you, why they should care about what you have to say. It's just you build up your credibility with this first line. So this is a screenshot of Nate's bio up here on the top. You can see he was an Investopedia top 10 advisor. Puts that in there. Pretty big deal. Makes him seem really credible, and also includes the fact that he's a CFP pro on there. And my credibility building line, I've appeared on news outlets like NBC, Bloomberg, and PBS, so I include that on there. I'm just kind of like borrowing their credibility and using it for me, which works very, very well. So if you guys have any news appearances or anything like that, this is a great place to put them. Next up is your value proposition. Now, this is not your firm's value proposition. This is an important thing to understand. This is the value proposition of your content. You are trying to sell someone on why they should care about the content you create and why they should follow you and engage more with your content. So Nate's is I make money simple. If you watch his content, he makes money simple. It makes it easy to understand. Mine is I make personal finance fun. And you can see that immediately in my content. So if that resonates with anybody, they're much more likely to give you a follow and watch more of your content, which is how they build up enough trust to eventually take that next step of scheduling a discovery call with you. And line three, speaking of scheduling a discovery call with you, is the call to action. This is where you tell viewers how they can engage further with you. So this can be something like Nate has where it says free resources. We like to include like the point down emojis, whether that's a hand or an arrow or something that's pointing down to your link in bio right below it. Free resources could indicate like, hey, here's some lead magnets, et cetera, that I will want you to download or that you have available to download. Maybe I just call one out in one of the videos, or you could have like schedule a call and just have a link directly to your Calendly. Whatever you're really trying to get people to do, include that in your CTA along with your link in bio. This is how you get people into your sales funnel and get them like off platform, because social media platforms, as we see with TikTok, we have no idea how much longer it's going to be around. It doesn't seem like it's going away in the short term, but we have no idea. We want to control our audience, and eventually getting them to download lead magnets or schedule a call with you, obviously, is a great way to do that. And speaking of links pages, I will hand this over to Nate because his links page is one that you guys should use as inspiration a lot more than mine. Yeah, Nate, go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, this is such a huge part of it because Nick did such a good job of showing, okay, how do we cultivate attention, right? How do we make promises to our viewers in terms of what our content is going to be about and what value it's going to provide so that they can interact with us, follow us, engage with our content. Now, how do we bring them down the funnel into a room? I'll use the word room because that's kind of what a links page feels like, where they could have the potential of becoming a client. They have the ability to interact with you or interact with your firm. So this is a dedicated landing page. This is not the homepage to my website. The idea there is that these people already kind of know me. They look at my pinned posts. They have a general idea of what I do. They probably know the name of my firm. And they're not really coming in to work with my firm. They're coming in to work with me. So I start with an introduction of myself. And as you can see, there's a little bit of an overlap here because I have the schedule a free intro pop-up. That doesn't pop up until you scroll. So usually you can just see schedule a call. And the whole goal there is that this should be above the fold. They should be able to see this without needing to scroll at all. That will reduce the friction and increase the amount of times that they're actually going to click through. Some of them don't have the intention of scheduling a call. They want to learn more. That's where I have things like lead magnets and newsletters. I have my sample plan, which people can read in return for an email, or they can sign up for my newsletter, which we send out every Friday. This is the way that I, as Nick said, am controlling my audience. I have the ability to cultivate a relationship with these people and not be fully reliant on the platforms and whether or not they're going to push my videos, that sort of thing. So I think this is extremely valuable. I am personally not a huge fan of Linktree and those sorts of things that you can set up very quickly, but feel very impersonal. I want them to be directly engaged with my brand and have that carry all the way through our relationship, whether that's just them reading my newsletter and checking out my sample plan, or if it's them becoming a client and suddenly they have our launch pad and they receive their plan, all of which are still part of that exact same brand feel and that brand emotion. So I'm a big fan of links pages. These are super easy to build nowadays and very, very affordable to just have something built out. So we're getting into something big in terms of producing content, right? Because we've talked a lot about what you need to record and how you should be setting up your profile. But now you have to sit down and actually make that first video. And step one is writing the script. But really, step one has to wait until step zero, which is getting organized. The way that we organize is we have this content organization template. So this is the way that these are all of my video ideas. And if you guys want to take a screenshot and use a couple of these, fine. I should have done the video that Taylor Swift is an economy. She's essentially bigger than a lot of countries. I haven't done that video yet, so who knows? Maybe there's a place for you. But as you can see, that was just an idea. That's not a video that I produced. The ones that I am actively scripting, those ones are in the next column. And once they go into recording, then editing, then ready to post, so on and so forth. So this is how I keep track of where my videos are. How many videos do I have in ready to post? They all have due dates assigned to them. So I know that this is exactly how it's going to flow, and I know when I need to record. Each of these, we have a card, and the card contains everything about the video. This includes when is it going to be recorded, when is it sent to the editor, is it compliance approved? I'll talk about that more. Which platforms is it going to, and then a number of other things. So we've actually recently updated this template to include even more, so that if someone, let's say someone has an audit with a regulator and they request all of their marketing materials, then I would have the ability to just download all of these as a CSV. And they would have when the video was approved, when the video was posted, which platforms it went to, as well as the final format, so the final video itself, and all of the revision terms. So they can see start to finish, how did this video work? And they can also see a really important part, which is the script. Because when I write a script, I write it in a very specific way, and I try to record exactly to the script. This is helpful for compliance. I'll talk about that when we get into the compliance section of this webinar. But really, it helps me to stay organized and maximize my value per second. Because as you guys are seeing right now, it's easy to get off topic, right? It's easy to talk about things that aren't directly applicable to the thing that you are talking about. If you have a script, it keeps you on track. And you'll notice that I write this in 1 to 2 sentence sections. The reason for that is because I don't want to try to record a 60-second video and screw it up in the 50th second and have to go back to the beginning and do it all again. So instead, what I do is I hit record and I record one line. If I didn't like that take, I will just retake that single line, and then I will move on to the next one. And I can clip all of my nice takes into a single video. And this is very, very organic to every single platform. No one is thrown off by clipping back and forth, even if you had your hands up at the end of one take and they disappear at the start of the next. That's totally fine. So this is how we approach scripting. And I'll talk a little bit about how we actually write them, because this has taken a lot of practice to really nail down how should this be formatted. And you will notice that the hook takes up the entire left portion of this screen, even though the hook should not be more than 3 seconds, because the hook is going to be responsible for 90% of your video's success, and it's where most of your time should be spent. There are a number of ways to do a hook. This is the beautiful value of video. When you're writing a blog, you have one way to do a hook. You get to write a sentence. With video, you get to have your verbal hook. You get to have your audio hook, so you can actually have a snap or some other sound in the video to scroll break someone and have them actually tune into your video. You can have a text box over your head because people read faster than they hear you speak something. So they can determine whether the video is valuable even faster. And then you can have a counter. So you can actually counteract what someone thinks they're going to hear. If you say 3 tools for financial advisors, you guys are probably going to say, all right, I probably have these 3 tools. I consume a lot of this content. But if I say 3 tools for financial advisors that you haven't heard of, you go, huh, okay, prove me wrong. Let's watch the video. And then finally, you can have movement. You can have hand gestures. You can have waves. You can lean into the camera. There are all sorts of ways to gather attention. That's why the hook deserves so much time. Then we get into the reel and the answer. The whole idea for a viral video is to hook someone in and open a loop. Open a loop that they just have to close by watching your video. For example, 3 tools for financial advisors. I have opened a loop and you would like to know those 3 tools. That loop will be closed when I deliver the final fact or the final tool, right? So the reel is where you provide a little bit of context. You give them any of the answers that they might need. And this also includes 1 and 2. And the final answer is that 3rd tool. The reason we've separated these out is because really, in most cases, unless you're doing a 90-second video or you have a very complex topic, you should actually be stopping your video the moment you deliver the answer. Whatever it is that closes that loop, that is when the video ends, because the only metric we care about when we are making videos is watch time. And so we want people to be able to watch all the way through, get all of the value, and then have the video end. So the algorithm understands that we had 100% watch time instead of 80% or something like that, because I spent the next 10 seconds vamping. So that's how we approach writing these scripts. Then you sit down and record. There are all sorts of different ways to record your videos. Personally, I think Nick is better at the actual recording portion than I am, so he gets this one. Oh, you might be on mute.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, before
No
you can
worries.
sit down to script, you should understand which type of recording style you're going to use. Because a lot of financial advisors, they sit down, they're like, oh, I'm just going to be talking head at a desk. Well, there's a lot of different ways you can spin that to make it a little bit more interesting for the audience. Like Nate does in the first one here, this is going to be a lot more of like a lazy / relaxed feeling. Yeah, I guess we don't have audio, so we can just talk through them. But yes, so you can see in this video, he is simply like lounging in his chair in his office, holding his phone, still has his mic attached, still has his lighting going, etc. But it looks like a lot more low production than a normal video would. So it kind of disarms the viewer. Even though he's talking about a financial topic, it doesn't feel like he's like trying to sell them financial advisory services, which is why this style of video is so effective. Now, the next style of video is one that a lot of you guys will probably do, and it's one that we do a lot on LinkedIn, which is just recording at a desk. So if you look at any of Nate or I's LinkedIn content or this video here, it's just us sitting properly at a desk with all our full setup behind us. It's clear we're using professional equipment, etc., which can really help show that you have a good production setup, which kind of creates that extra level of credibility. And it's very versatile. You can do a lot of different editing techniques, etc. with this. If you work with an editing team, we'll go into that a little bit more later, but don't worry too much about that right now. Next up is the style of video that I am the most known for, which is how I built my following by making personal finance fun. I use this skit style format where I play multiple characters in the same video. It looks super weird, but it works out very, very well. I've been able to make it fun, and while also providing education and a lot of education. So by the time people finish watching this video, they're entertained for the entire time, but they also feel like they ended the video knowing something. So this is the best way I've found to just maximize your total view count. The downside to it is it doesn't build up as much trust as like a lot of Nate's style videos do, which is like, I don't sell to clients, so like I don't need to do as many of those. My currency is attention, which I sell to brands, so I want to maximize my view count, which is why I do a lot of these. Though Nate also does sprinkles in as well to really help with his follower growth. And then the last one at the end here, this is really relevant to one of the questions we got submitted before the webinar started, where an advisor was asking like, hey, I'm really into mountain biking. How do I showcase that in my content to really add some personality? This is a perfect example. I'm a big hiker. Both Nate and I live out in Colorado. We hike and ski all the time. This is a part of a series I did called Mountains and Money that I think this video got over 1 million views alone on Instagram Reels, which then got me like 30,000 followers. Like, it's absolutely crazy. So doing something unique like this in a hobby that you enjoy, like hiking, like skiing, I've made a couple skiing videos as well, like mountain biking, like weightlifting, working out, whatever you're really into, that just shows that extra level personality. That's an extra level of like, oh, I'm not just sitting behind a desk talking to you like every other financial advisor was. Like, I'm a real person. I'm into these things. Maybe you're into these too. If not, maybe at least the scenery is cool. Like if you're on a hike or mountain biking, it helps attract attention just that much more. And go further. Next up is editing. So when you're first starting out making videos, do not worry too much about editing. Really, all you have to do is basic cuts, which we'll go over in a second here, and then adding captions. All these other things you can start to play around with to really increase viewer retention and really increase the value of video afterwards. But for the first couple videos, don't worry about editing too much. Really just like set a 15-minute timer. And once that timer is up, your video is good. It's not going to get much better than that as long as you have everything clipped. But for the first one here, Nate, if you want to click on basic cuts there, these are just like cuts. You heard Nate say that we all record in scenes when we're making short form video content. You want to cut the clip as soon as the audio is done. So as soon as you're done saying something, the next clip should start immediately. You don't want any dead air in between clips. That really slows down your video and gives viewers a chance to kind of like get bored and scroll by onto a video that's a lot better edited and a lot more entertaining. So you want to give viewers as few of those chances as possible and to make those cuts as tight as possible between your clips. If you want to make these cuts a little bit more advanced, that is where L cuts come in here. We can't really hear it, unfortunately, but at the end of this video, you'll see this character is talking, and he still is talking in the first like second this black shirt character is shown. And you can see this a lot when you're watching like Netflix or Hulu, whatever, any shows you watch. The camera doesn't just focus on who is talking until they're done talking, and then it shows the next person when they start talking. They kind of like bleed, like audio from one scene kind of bleeds over into the next one, kind of shows the character's reaction, and then they start talking and the camera is still on them. This is a nice way to increase the pacing of your video, and again, just give people as few chances as possible to get bored while they're watching your content. So before they even know it, the video's ended, they got a lot of value, and they want to watch more of your stuff. Next up is text overlays. This is part of those like text hooks that Nate talked about a couple slides ago, where it says, what should I study in college to make the most money? If someone is curious about that, they see that in the text box immediately when the video loads, and this acts as another way to hook them and get them to actually watch your content. Because if people don't get reeled in by your hook, none of the rest of your content does not matter. Next, and finally, we have video overlays here, which Nate does a lot of. They're really good for reaction style content, where the videos Nate is overlaying here talks about IULs, which is a controversial topic, obviously. And he kind of just uses them as a way to drive home his point and kind of as something to react to. And this is especially valuable. A couple of Nate's first videos got like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views, because he reacted to videos that were already viral and put his own spin on them. Like he reacted to a video showing the inside of a Ford F-150. And then after 3 seconds of that caught the viewer's attention, he went in and said, here's why a lot of business owners you get cars that are over 6,000 pounds, et cetera. That's the deductions for them. Then let's go to the next one. Yes, for editing apps, we have tested basically every single editing app under the sun. We have found 2 that really rise up above them all, one paid, one free. So for the free one, I personally use CapCut whenever I want to edit a video myself, which thankfully I have an editing team now, so I offload most of that. But CapCut has everything you need to edit content, like everything I need to edit content, even at more advanced style than you guys would, especially just starting out. It's free. It is owned by TikTok, so they have basically every single editing feature that you need. They do have a paid version, which I don't really see the point of, honestly, at this point in time. Everything in the free version is really everything you need. And CapCut also has both a mobile and a desktop app. So I personally like to edit on my computer. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more streamlined, I feel. So that CapCut gives you that option. And another important thing to mention is that we don't record content. When we're shooting on our phones, we don't record content inside of a social media app. We record it straight to our camera roll. So this allows us to easily export this raw footage to something like CapCut or Descript, which we'll talk about in a second here, and edit it from there. If you do want to record inside of an app for whatever reason, Instagram is by far and away the best at this. They allow you to download your footage watermark free, or your final video watermark free, so you can upload it across every other platform. TikTok also currently has that feature, though they're kind of like off and on when they actually allow that. And when they make you download a video with the TikTok watermark, which absolutely kills your videos if you post it across any other platform. So if you do, for whatever reason, want to record and have an app, use Instagram. Now, for paid editing software, we haven't found anything that's better than Descript, which is the top one on the right over there. It is really hard to explain, but it allows you to edit your videos with AI. So it actually transcribes your entire video, and it's actually very accurate. It very, very rarely does it have words that are misspelled or wrong words or missing words, etc. in there. And it's really cool because not only does it allow you to edit videos like with the normal timeline feature like CapCut does, it allows you to edit by highlighting and moving around or deleting the text, the transcript that it generates for you. So if I had a take that I didn't like and I audibly called out, oh, that was a bad take in my recording, I could easily see that in the transcript before I wasted any time watching my video all the way through, highlight that section and delete it and only go forward to the next section. And they also have different AI tools for automatically removing all of your word gaps. So when we talked about making those tight cuts earlier, Descript basically automated all of that. Super awesome. It only costs like $12 a month and it's very user friendly. Whereas something like Final Cut Pro or anything Adobe related is going to be very, very high level. I still have a hard time navigating those, and I've been editing videos for like 4+ years. So Descript is a very good paid option. CapCut is a pretty solid free option. And one final thing before we get into everyone's favorite topic of compliance that Nate is going to do an absolutely great job with is posting effectively. So we get questions all the time about, oh, best practices around posting, and they're more obvious than you'd think. So one big question we get is, oh, when should we post videos for maximum engagement? It's whatever. Like, it doesn't matter that much. As long as you're posting videos when your ideal audience is consuming them. So usually that's during business hours or maybe like mid-afternoon-ish, it's going to be fine. Just don't post videos at like 1 or 2 in the morning when no one's going to be awake. And we haven't seen performance vary really greatly at all. So don't worry about that. Don't use that as an excuse to not start posting videos because you don't know when to post them. It doesn't matter. Number 2, unfortunately, we wish this weren't true, but do not use scheduling software when posting videos because it will hurt your content. Your video quality will suffer. Some hashtags don't activate across different platforms, and you don't get access to native tools like titling or location tagging, etc., across different platforms. And the platforms just simply don't like it when you don't use their actual platform to upload stuff onto them. So as easy as it would be to upload a video to one software and have it go across all these 5 different platforms you want to post on, unfortunately, it's a lot better. It gives your videos a lot higher chance of performing if you do actually manually go in and upload all of these videos yourself across every single platform. Speaking of every single platform, number 3 here, post content across every platform. We already talked about the benefits of diversification earlier. People generally silo themselves across these different apps because, again, you can post short form video content across basically every single major social media platform. So there are rarely cases where people like use TikTok and Instagram and YouTube to all look at short form video content. Usually they pick 1 or 2. So if like I have 1.1 million followers on TikTok, if I would be willing to bet that less than 5% of them follow me on any other platform, because why would they? They already get my content on TikTok, so why would they follow me anywhere else? It just wouldn't make sense. So post your content everywhere. There's going to be different people on every single platform, as we saw with those age demos earlier as well. And finally, do not be one of those people that posts like 20 to 30 hashtags on every single one of their videos. It does not work and it takes a lot of time. Do not do that. I have been told directly from my contacts at these different social media platforms that the best amount of hashtags to use is between 4 and 5. You're going to start off with the first 2 or 3 being very broad related to your overall niche that you're talking about. So like hashtag personal finance, hashtag money, hashtag financial literacy are ones I like to use a lot. And then your last 2 or 3, they are going to be directly related to the video that you are making, like you're posting then. So like hashtag mortgage rates or like hashtag estate planning, like something very pointed that not a lot of other people make videos about, but that obviously you want to make sure the hashtags still exist somewhere, but make them very pointed along with those very broad ones right away. That's going to be the best way to tell the algorithms exactly what your content is about and who would benefit from watching them. All righty, Nate, go ahead, take it over. This is probably a big question all these advisors watching this have right now.
And I hope you guys have been enjoying listening to Nick, because you are going to be sick of my voice by the time I'm done with this, but it's going to be worth it, because at the end of the day, biggest concern, right? Okay, I want to do video. Okay, I want to do marketing, but how in the world do I do this without making compliance a complete headache? So I'm going to walk through all of the research that I have done. I'm going to preface this by saying I am not a compliance consultant. I am not an attorney, and I will never replace the compliance department at your firm. But I also have a firm understanding that it is really easy for those compliance experts to just say no instead of saying, okay, let's figure this out together. And that's pressure that I have had to apply while doing this to all of the compliance consultants that I work with. I've had to say, no, I know that this is new, but I also know that it's allowed. So show me exactly how this works. And I would say the most revelatory conversations I've had have actually been with state regulators, because right now I'm state registered, I'm not SEC registered. And I've been audited by both California and Colorado in the past few years. Main takeaway from that was that they are not out to get you. They are not out to just ruin your life. Their goal is to help you stay compliant. And when I received my deficiency letters from both of those audits, they were recommendations to say, hey, here are ways that you can do better. Just tell us that you're embarking on that. Like, just tell us that you're working through this. That's all that we need from you. And it's been an extremely high quality relationship. And I'm honestly way less scared about compliance now that I've been through those audits. So here's what I've learned. And let's start by talking about what is advertising, because there is this fancy thing called the SEC new marketing rule that essentially revolutionized the way that advisors are permitted to market, specifically when it comes to testimonials, which we'll talk about. So the big thing I want to point out in yellow is that anything that is talking about a unique strategy or is providing hypothetical illustrations of performance, these are all advertising. Performance is one of the most regulated components of marketing for financial advisors. And personally, I don't believe it's even worth it to talk about performance, regardless of the compliance impact. Really, if you have a client who comes to you exclusively for your performance, the chances of them being disappointed are way higher than someone who comes to you because they trust you and understand that you have their best interests at heart. The other piece is pre-recorded videos that solicit, definitely advertising. Testimonials and endorsements, definitely advertising. But general education material and market commentary is not advertising. So we're in this weird spot where short form video, at least in my case, in most cases, is just general education material. I do not solicit in 99% of my videos. And I only have a couple that talk about my firm, talk about what I do, or actually ask them to become a client. But I'm never going to play in the gray area. I will always assume that all of it is advertising. And so everything I talk about is making the assumption that we are making advertisements for the firm. In order to make advertisements effectively, we need to write it down. We need to update the compliance manual, the policies and procedures. And in some cases, we also need to update our ADV. So for me, I've updated my policies and procedures manual, specifically laying out how often I will review social media usage and where I will be keeping those records. I absolutely archive. I saw that there was a question around if XYPN archive doesn't archive TikTok, then what do we use? I'll talk about that. I also talk about how those approvals need to be handled. So I handle it at two stages. One, I handle it for the script, and I also handle it for the final product. So I have two different compliance approvals that ride along with every single video that I post. And then I name the archiving service that I archived to. I also retain all of the videos myself. So yes, I have them archived behind a glass wall that I can't mess with, but I also have all of the raw files just to make sure that if a regulator needs it, they've got it. I want to be an open book in as many ways as humanly possible. The next piece is clarifying entanglement and adoption. You guys might have heard of these terms, but for your sake, I hope that you haven't, because this means that you've gotten really, really deep into FINRA regulations and understanding exactly how we are treated in terms of compliance when it comes to social media. And I want to say that you guys are already doing the most dangerous things when it comes to social media. Because the most dangerous things happen when you get entangled. Entanglement occurs if the advisor is involved in the preparation of the communication or has control over the third party's distribution. right? That's a dangerous piece. We would think that, okay, like we were involved in the preparation, that holds us directly liable. But then we look at adoption and we say, okay, adoption occurs if the advisor explicitly or implicitly endorses or approves information after it is published. So if you're anything like me, you look at this and you say, man, entanglement seems more dangerous. I'm not sure I like that. But what we as advisors don't realize is that we adopt content all the time. By liking, commenting, sharing, and reposting, we are adopting that content. The problem here and the main risk factor is that we don't have control over that content. Actually, having control over the dissemination or having control over the production of that content gives us control. We have control over which news features we appear in, which speaking events we do, which articles or books we contribute to. We also have control over which organic content we produce, which means that we can control compliance from end to end. But if we adopt it, we're just liking a friend's post. Well, suddenly, if that content is found to be non-compliant, you are tangled up in that infraction. So very important distinction here. And I think it's, if you take one thing away from this, it's that it is always a good thing to be in control of the content that you are putting out there, rather than adopting content that you have no control over. You guys are already adopting. Entanglement by comparison is far less dangerous. So I talked about archiving a little bit. We need to maintain and preserve our books and records, right? No less than 3 years. Technically, in most cases, it's 5 years. They need to be easily accessible. And for the first 2 years, they need to be kept in the appropriate office of the advisor. This means that we need to have a record of exactly what we posted. I handle this in 2 ways. One, I use XYPN Archive to archive everything that it possibly can. Amy, I'm not throwing shade, I promise. It's just that XYPN Archive does not archive TikTok yet. And so I also use Sharp Archive to archive my TikTok account. So I am currently straddling. I have very high hopes that XYPN is going to roll out TikTok archiving very soon, but that is where I keep everything. And then I have all of my compliance approvals and my final drafts in the template that I was talking about, the content organization template, so that if a regulator needs anything, they receive the export of my content organization and they receive all of my archives, right? I'm fully covered. So now we get to talk about the big new thing, testimonials, because I'm a huge fan of testimonials. I just think it's insane that financial advisors have not been allowed to do what every other business organization has been permitted to do since the dawn of time, since the beginning of newspapers at the very least, but now we can. So the marketing rule, and I'm going to read this word for word because it's important. The marketing rule prohibits the use of testimonials and endorsements in an advertisement. This is guilty until proven innocent, because testimonials are still prohibited unless the advisor satisfies certain disclosure, oversight, and disqualification provisions. So a couple things to know before you do testimonials. One, you need to know how you solicit and you select those testimonials, and I will talk about those a little bit more. Then you need to understand what the oversight is. So who's out there soliciting testimonials? Is this an IAR within your firm? Is this you directly? Is this an outside solicitor? What are the agreements that control those relationships? And then disqualification, again, big fancy words. I did my best to boil it down into words that make sense to us mere mortals. You have to tell people how you got the testimonials. Did you ask everyone at your entire, like within your entire firm, or did you cherry pick? As a general rule, don't cherry pick. Give everyone the opportunity to share their opinions. And then you have to say, did you compensate for that? Did you pay them? Did you offer them some quid pro to get a testimonial? You have to oversee solicitors and have written agreements. So if it's an IAR soliciting, you have to have that within your agreement with them. If you have an outside solicitor going and doing that, you have to have an agreement with them. You and the solicitor cannot be certain bad actors. Essentially, don't have a felony, be able to trade securities, and don't have any major infractions on your IAPD. That's about it. Your state has this one's important. I was about to read it word for word without understanding the actual impact of this. Your state has to adopt the new SEC marketing rule. This means that there are still certain states that have not yet adopted it. They have stuck with their normal regulatory structure. This means that if your home state, the headquarter of your office, has not adopted this marketing rule, you are still completely forbidden from doing testimonials. So that's the breakdown there. I'm a huge fan of this because we create the content flywheel. We create a situation where short form video is bringing new clients in. New clients are absolutely spoiled by your services. They have the ability to refer and leave testimonials. The testimonials increase your social proof for new people coming in. And that is where we start to see exponential growth. When in doubt, disclose things. Please, please, please disclose. And you guys have probably seen this, but I have a few that are a little bit more unique. So for general disclosure, you guys have seen this. This is not this is purely informational content. We are not selling securities. Most of you have this disclosure at the bottom of your website and on most of your documents. Then there are recognition and designations. So this is really important that if you receive recognition, for example, I was part of the Investopedia top 10 for financial education. I have a bilateral non-endorsement on that, saying that Investopedia does not endorse me and I do not endorse Investopedia. This protects me from becoming entangled in anything that they might do that's found non-compliant, right? Also, compensation disclosure. I think it's really important. I don't expect many of you to buy awards or recognitions, but if so, I think it's very important to disclose that you did. And then finally, testimonials. As I mentioned, you need to disclose how you solicited, whether or not those testimonials were compensated, and who you selected. Did you select all of your clients or did you cherry pick? So that is the breakdown of compliance. This is where I have them. I have them on my links page. I have them beneath my testimonials, and I also put them within my captions when I can. So within my descriptions of my videos, certain places like YouTube only allow 100 characters per caption, so I can't put the disclosure in there. But when I can, I do add it. I have never been told by a regulator that I need to do this, but I do it anyways because I want to be safe, and this is something that I take very, very seriously. So that is the layout on that. Now we can get to talk about why we are here and really what we do to take all of this value and make it accessible to advisors. Nick?
Yeah, so short form video sounds easy, right? No, we just went over a ton of information. It's very overwhelming. And if short form video, it is one of the easier forms of content, but if it was truly easy to start and you just know right away exactly what to do and how to build a following, get clients from it, every financial advisor would be doing it already, but they're not, which is exactly why we're here. We are here to teach you how to start from zero. Even if you don't have any experience posting content on social media, we'll show you a case study in just a second of an advisor that fits exactly this bill. We'll show you how you can start posting videos that a single video could get more organic views than every single combined podcast, long form YouTube video, blog post, LinkedIn post, etc. you've ever posted has. That really is the power of short form video. I saw one of the questions that was asked was, why do you guys like short form video so much? The reach is just unreal. Per unit of effort, short form video has the highest reach potential of any single form of content. We work directly with advisors and give you basically the shortcut. We help you skip the frighteningly steep learning curve of short form video. And basically, we help you hit the easy button, as one of our clients said. We give you the exact tools you need to be successful when you're starting off. We give you the exact blueprint you specifically need to be successful based on your target niche, your style of content, what sort of topics you specialize in, etc. And we kind of give you an unfair advantage because we work directly with you. We help you script content in some cases. Sometimes we give you access to our editing team, just to really give you as fast of a start as humanly possible. And that middle bullet point here is a really, really big point to make that we didn't really make in this, make a lot in this presentation. That obviously, yeah, your main goal with short form video content is to attract new clients, but we've seen a lot of value from our current clients in that, hey, short form video, it helps you stay connected with them. As Nate said, it helps you give your clients multiple touch points so they don't feel skittish and don't feel like they're losing contact with you and end up canceling their agreement with you. They feel like you're consistently talking with them, providing them value, and it's a really great way to consistently get in front of your existing clients as well as your ideal new clients. Now, how exactly do this? We generally work with advisors like a lot of you guys would fit in this independent advisor mold with something called the Complete Guide to Short Form Video for Financial Advisors. This has two components. One is the course, which you can see up there in that big product image in the upper left-hand side of the screen, which is the Complete Guide to Short Form Video for advisors. And the second option is, or the second part of this is coaching. So we don't actually sell the course by itself. They all have coaching bundles associated with them because yes, the course is awesome. All of our students have gone through it and said, oh, this thing is amazing. This really helped me speak the language of short form video. So like, I understand what you guys are talking about. And if all they did was take the course, they would be much more successful than the average advisor when they start posting videos. But every single one of our clients has said the coaching sessions that are direct with Nate and I for an hour each. They are not group coaching sessions. They're literally us sitting down with you, giving you the exact blueprint you need to be successful with short form video. These are far and away the most valuable part of these packages, and where our clients really see the fastest results. Like after one of these coaching calls, they start posting videos like, "Oh, this is awesome! This is so much better than the content we just posted right before this." And you can see on the right hand side everything that is included in the course. I'm not going to go through all that, but as a bonus for joining our webinar today, we are giving you guys a 20% discount code if you use code XYPN to checkout for any of our 3 course and coaching offerings, plus some bonuses we'll go through here in a minute. But as I mentioned, this advisor right here, this Nick Meyer CFP, he just started his own firm, Breakaway Wealth, at the start of this year, and he didn't really have a lot of like marketing methods. It sounded like he had a pretty small book of clients, and basically he was trying the old ways of advisor marketing that every advisor does. He was asking for referrals, which, you know, are few and far between, especially when your book isn't super large. He was trying cold calling, cold emailing, buying leads, etc. These people didn't know, like, or trust him, so they basically ignored him all the time. People hate being sold to, especially by people they don't know. So this does not really work anymore, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced. So he found us, and he's like, okay, short form video is something I really want to try. So I'm going to enroll in your course and implementation package, which is when we give him 3 coaching calls and work directly with you guys to see if the short form video thing can work. And mind you, he had never produced a piece of short form video or any content in general for his business before. He was brand new to making short or social media content. He basically had no idea what he was doing. So he started the course on March 25th. He could not stop watching it, so he got through it in just a day. It is only a 2-hour course. It's action-packed, so it's not a hard thing to get through, but you'll find yourself pausing a lot. You're like, oh, I have to take action on this, I have to take action on that. But still, it's not this behemoth of a course that you just won't get through. It's very digestible, and we make sure it packs as much value per second as possible into it. We're short form video creators. That's what we do generally. So we want to make sure it's the same with our long form content as well. So he completed the course on March 26th. You see he had his next 3 coaching calls for the next couple of weeks. As part of his engagement, we gave him a 52-week content calendar. So basically what this means is we gave him a couple video ideas for every single week throughout for an entire year. So through next April, he has video ideas. So a lack of ideas will never be a reason that he doesn't make a piece of content. And as part of his package, we also wrote 5 scripts for him in his voice and topics that he wanted to talk about with his audience. He chose the topics. We wrote the scripts. He finalized them. And 4 of these 5 scripts got over 5-figure views. So over 10,000 views on 4 of these 5 scripts, which really helped him reach this goal. On April 26th, he had achieved over 115,000 total video views on TikTok alone. Again, the other platforms a little bit slower to start, but they're starting to ramp up now too. And got over 600 followers. Again, this is a guy who had never posted a piece of social media content that he wanted other people outside of his family to see. And he was able to achieve this success in such a short amount of time because we just told him exactly what to do, and he did exactly what we told him to do. It's a really the perfect scenario. And not only did he get this amount of views, a lot of you guys are probably saying like, okay, yeah, he got views, but did this translate to clients? Yes, 2 weeks after this, so about a month and a half after he finished the course, he posted a video saying, hey, I'm a financial advisor. This is exactly what I do. This is my firm. This is how you can reach out and work with me. He got 4 calls scheduled immediately from that video and closed 1 immediately in the week after he posted it. So he closed his first client for short form video in about a month and a half. And this, obviously, starting is the hardest part of this, but we were able to help them completely skip that learning curve. So he is now out there making awesome short form video content. And as you can see down here in his quote, he's 100% confident that this, being short form video, is going to be a primary client acquisition method for him, just because he's doing exactly what we told him to do through our years of learning. Nate, I'll let you take it from here.
Absolutely. So within the course, the entire goal is to get you to speak our language. So what you've been seeing today is the very high level 90-minute version of, okay, what does setup look like? How do we write scripts? So we go about 5 miles deeper into each different component. The most important ones that I want to highlight here are recording setup and analytics, 2 pieces that we were able to cover at a high level. but not something that we can show you exactly how to do and exactly what to analyze. So you learn to speak our language, and then we essentially sit in your office. Of course, it's a virtual call, but we help you set up your exact recording studio based on where your window is, what things you can potentially have in your background. And then once you start posting videos, we show you how to figure out, is this a good video or is this a bad one? Do we need to make some adjustment to make you as successful as humanly possible? So you guys are probably wondering, if you've stuck around so far, what in the world does this cost? So the way that we do this is we customize it based on how many coaching calls you would like to have and how many additional pieces you would like to have. So a couple of those additional pieces of value are that content calendar that I mentioned, as well as having us write scripts, provide written analyses, and also having unlimited questions and being able to get consistent feedback for as long as 6 months. But the 12-month content calendar and the database are no longer limited to the Course Plus implementation package, because as a part of what we're offering today, we're going to include that content calendar for everyone. We're going to do one additional coaching call regardless of what you decide. We'll also provide our compliance guide, our viral video database, which is over 100 videos that have been extremely successful in the personal finance niche, transcribed with all of their analytics so that you can use them as inspiration. We'll review the first 2 scripts that you write so that you know exactly how we would structure it. And we'll provide the content organization template that I was talking about today so that you can be perfectly organized as you continue through this entire project. So I think, looking at the timing, we should probably jump into Q&A, because I see that we have at least 8, not to mention the ones in the chat that I haven't looked at yet. And as Nick, would you be willing to read through those, and we'll see kind of what we want to answer first. In the meantime, I just want to point this out. A lot of the things that we see advisors focus on is that they don't have enough time. This will make compliance a headache, and that they don't have the budget. And these are good things to worry about, because these are the things that we can control. We can use these 3 things to solve the bigger problems of, my firm isn't growing, I don't have time to stagnate and not grow, my clients are feeling disconnected, or I'm putting effort into marketing. Most of you probably are. The question is, are you seeing the results? And so the way that we solve the things on the left is we do it in a time-effective way. We have the compliance structure to keep you out of the gray, and we make it possible for you with payment plans and a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you try it and you don't like it, we will return your money, no questions asked. So with that, let's hop into the Q&A and talk about these.
Yeah. Well, first up, let's do this question from the anonymous attendee. For Facebook, can you create a business account, or do you have to use your personal?
Yeah, so I have played around with this a little bit, and I think you can do either, but in most cases, it's better to just go with a personal account. In general, you need to manage the business page with your personal account anyways. And so I have personally seen better engagement on my own account rather than the Hoskin Capital business account.
Yeah, same here. I have about 200 something thousand followers on my quote unquote personal Facebook account. And I also have a Nick Talks Money Facebook page that has 200 followers. So I see a lot more reach on my personal one. Next up,
Definitely.
Patrick, do you recommend setting up the marketing company separately from your actual RIA and then contract back to the RIA?
I tried this. I did not. I decided not to go this direction, so I set up a separate LLC for Net Worth Nate in order to do this. And personally, it ended up being more of a hassle than it was worth, particularly because then it has to be an OBA on your ADV. I would say the only time this would become reasonable is if you really decided to monetize your content exclusively and start doing brand deals and AdSense and that sort of thing. I don't think that is entirely within the purview. I would expect to just do this within the company. If you see rampant success, it can be a question for later.
Yeah. Another question from an anonymous attendee. Do you do private speaking engagements for existing RIA firms, like social media trainings?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've done a number of really cool projects, one of which was with Right Capital. the financial planning firm, and essentially teaching the entire team how to succeed with short form video rather than a specific advisor. So that's, yes, that's absolutely something that's available.
Yeah, reach out to us through LinkedIn or emails. It's just Nate or Nick at n2contentmarketing.com. Pretty straightforward. From Emmy, for someone who is starting an RIA and dipping their toes into social media, what 2 platforms do you recommend to start using? And then also, what percentage of content should be personal? I can start off with question number 1 there. Use all of them. Use every single social media platform possible. You want to diversify your content or your platform specific risk as much as you can. And if you're making one piece of content, why not get the most bang for the buck out of it as possible and post across all those 5 platforms we talked about, which are TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then Nate, what do you say? What percentage of content should be personal? How would you answer that?
I think less than 10% of the content should be entirely personal, like just talking about your life. That said, I really do like having anecdotes about how I started the firm, how I got into the industry, what my experience is, how I learned all of this sort of thing. Like I've loved those. So I do think that it should exist, absolutely. But I don't think it should be a lot. Really, one of the main things that advisors screw up is make content for the viewer. Don't make content for yourself. And this is a hard line to walk because you might be making content about a very educational thing that you are convinced that your audience need. That is still making content for you. Really, the goal is to make content that they will learn from and that they have personally elected that they need. Again, that's really esoteric. That's tough to put your finger on. That's something we've spent a lot of time really formulating to say, is this for the viewer or is this for the advisor?
Perfect. Next up, how long does it take you to record a single video? I'll just take this one quick. For Nate, it's about 4 minutes. For me, it's closer to 10 just because I do like the more intense skit style ones. For the advisors in our like higher service tiers where we actually fly out, write all the scripts for them, record all the content with them in person, we've seen an average about 7 to 8 minutes per video. So when you compare this to like the maybe like 2 or 3 hours it takes to record a podcast or YouTube video, it's a lot less of a time commitment. Next one is, do you time block to write content? The answer to that is yes. I'll say how I do it, then you can take it over here. Usually I dedicate 1 day a week to scripting, 1 day a week to filming, and then back when I did edit back at the start before I had an editing team, I dedicated 1 day of the week to edit just to make sure that I can batch as much of this content in each of these specific roles as much as possible, because it's a lot easier to sit down and write 10 scripts than it is to sit down, script a video, record that video, and then edit that video all in one sitting. If you try and do that, it just won't be sustainable for you.
Yeah, I bet a lot of you guys flinched when you heard a full day for writing, a full day for editing, a full day for recording. But the beauty of that, and the reason I love that so much, is because then you only have to do it once a month. I'll sit down and I'll record 30 or 40 pieces of content. So I will write 30 or 40 scripts on day 1, film them all on day 2, and then organize them and send them off to the editors on day 3, so that really I'm only contributing that once per month and I don't have to think about it. And the way I approach that is that as advisors, we go to conferences all the time. We know that it is possible to block off 3 days from our calendar to get something done. So I do the same with short form video, and then I have enough content for a month or more.
Awesome.
All right.
Nate, what
looks
tool
like
do you use
this
for
one's for me.
Yeah.
What tool did you use for your links page? Is it a lead page via your website provider or an alternative to Linktree? This is entirely within my website. I use Squarespace, so I built it custom. It's super easy with WordPress, Squarespace, any of the above, to just build a separate landing page that is not linked to your navigation. And that gives you the full flexibility to put in whatever you would like and keep people within your ecosystem. If you're tracking leads or you have other integrations with your website, you don't have another piece of tech sitting on top of it. And I'm a big fan there.
Yep. So next one's a question for you specifically, Nate, about your compliance from Ian.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was interested in seeing how you do disclosures, but I didn't see any on your personal LinkedIn profile or the business LinkedIn profile. Doesn't seem to be on hoskincapital.com either, but there is a link to ADV there. Also not your YouTube or Insta bio. Would you point to what a disclosure should look like on a bio or a website? Yes. So I focus on this for where people are intaking. So I have that disclosure in my ADV on my website. But then if you go to my links page, hoskincapital.com/links, you will see that disclosures is right under my call to action. You will also see that it's under the testimonials as well. And then I don't have, oh yeah, I should have the bilateral non-endorsement on the press page. I will double check that, but it should be on there. I did recently make some changes to my website, so I'm wondering if it got removed. But yes, that should be where you should see the bilateral non-endorsement. So if it's not there, I will double check for you so you'll have a good example to look at.
Next question. How do you compliantly ask for client business in a video or script, and how often should we do it? 1% of the time, question mark.
Yeah, I think 1%. Yeah, 1% is maybe a little bit too low. I would say once every 20 or 30 videos. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, for specifically asking like, hey, schedule a call with me. Yes. I tend to approach it differently where I offer a lot of lead magnets, and I encourage advisors to do this as well, where if you have like some free value to give people, like the 2024 tax tables or like a 401k guide or something, that's okay to mention every like 4 or 5 videos. You just don't want to ask too much from the viewer, but you still can do it maybe like once a week and still get people to give you their email address, contact information, so you can follow up with them later.
Yeah, and I would say in the early days, an easy example is that TikTok does not allow you to put a link in your bio until you have 1,000 followers. Really, until you have 1,000 followers, you shouldn't be mentioning a link in bio. You shouldn't be mentioning any sort of call to action of engage with me, like this video, follow, send this to someone, something of that sort. Because the goal at that level is to build your reach, not your conversions. The conversions will come later. And once you get to a point where you have a very steady, loyal audience, you can make those calls to action way more often.
100%. Last question for now, looks like. If anyone else has questions, feel free to put them in there. We still have a couple minutes left. What payment plan do you offer? So I'll answer this one. We offer, you can either pay up front, or for a little bit more premium, we offer a 3-month payment plan. So you can pay in 3 equal installments over the course of 3 months, just to make it a little bit easier on your cash flow.
Yeah. All right. It looks like that's all we have. Amy, do you have anything for us or for the audience?
Yes, well, thank you both so much. I'm sure everyone walked away with multiple things. I'm so sorry I'm wearing my Apple AirPods. I guess maybe it's better because they're a wired connection. But for XYPN, if anyone is interested in learning about more about membership, we will drop a link in the chat to schedule some time with one of our success strategists. We'd love to tell you how we can help you start, run, or scale your firm. Other than that, thank you both so much. Oh, for everyone, don't forget that survey when we're done. We'd love to tell Nate and Nick how they did. So I think everyone got a lot out of this. Thank you both.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
and
guys.
wait, when you guys sign up for XYPN, hit me up. I have a referral code. You get a free month if you use my referral code to sign up. So I will shamelessly plug that for any of you guys who are on the edge. It was the best decision I've made. I absolutely love the platform. I'm making more money as a result just by what it saves me on software. Everything else is gravy. So highly, highly recommended.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Nate. All right, everyone. We'll have a great West Year Wednesday, and we will see you at XYPN Live in October. All right, bye, guys.